This spring I went to Tokyo. I actually went to Japan. We went there for a few weeks, me and my partner, and we visited almost all the Golden Route, so the major cities in Japan. And I actually did a whole video about my junk journal there with some sketches and drawings and with lots and lots of packaging, labels and all the other things. You can find it on my channel and it has subtitles if you need them. At the end of our journey, we went to Tokyo just before our travel back home. We decided to keep Tokyo last in our travel routine because we knew that it would be the city where we would be able to make the more shopping and to get around and visit some shops. And I was actually quite interested in visiting some yarn stores. I managed to visit 4 very different ones, and all of them with a unique kind of personality, and I was super in love with all of them. The first shop we visited was Daruma store. Daruma is actually a brand in Japan and it's quite a famous one. In Europe I already heard the brand Daruma because they are famous for their sashiko threads and needles. Sashiko is an embroidery art specific from Japan for mending and visible mending, gorgeous work. So in their shop, of course, they had all the sashiko threads and needles, but they also had lots of their yarns. They were currently carrying mostly lightweight yarns since we went in spring, and the staff didn't speak English very well, but we managed to communicate with a translator and our app. They were able to tell me that since their shop is a little bit small, they don't carry all the yarns from the Daruma brand, but they do exchange them during the season. So during summer and spring they have more cottons and linen and lightweight yarns. I was quite surprised to see that almost half the store was dedicated not to knitting or crochet or yarns, but to sewing. So it had lots of sewing patterns and sewing notions and accessories. Both sides of the store had lots of finished garments, so you could see and touch and even try lots of ideas from this very, very nice brand. The next shop we visited was Amimono Spin. This was wonderful. The ambience in there was the most unique of all of those I visited. I think the way that they display their yarns is quite unique because they have this label with a sheep hole so you can see the color of the yarn underneath, and it's super cute. This label, even if beautiful and super unique to this shop, were not very useful since none of them carried gauge or recommended needles or any other information about the fiber. There were little cards on each square in the exhibition with the fiber composition on them, but they were all in Japanese, so I spent quite a lot of time translating them with my app. The staff was super kind, I must say. I just tried to not be bothersome, and so I tried to work it out by myself. I would have appreciated a little bit more if each of the skein of yarn would carry their information. This shop was quite different from the other one because half of the store was actually a cafe where they offer coffee and other beverages, and you can just stop there and knit and chit-chat with the shop assistants who were really, really nice. I think the nicest of them all. I don't know if it's bad to say, but they were the only ones that came to me and tried to talk to me in English first before Japanese. I know Japanese people prefer to be talked to in Japanese, and I tried in each and every shop to have some Japanese phrases ready or have my translator ready with me, but she was just super nice and asked me where we come from and said that we could just stay over there and knit and have some free time to relax. Then I went to Walnut Tokyo. I visited their store in Kyoto too, and I do think the one in Kyoto is a little bit bigger, but not by much. The one in Tokyo, I think, has a smaller selection of items, but bigger workshop and event space. The space was huge, and the staff there didn't speak English, but they were very quick and ready with a translator on their end. They helped me search for some linen. The selection is quite nice. Walnut is owned by Amirizu, which is a brand that also has a magazine. Maybe it is a magazine in its purest form, and the magazine is about patterns and publication in Japanese and in Japan. So it's quite nice. They have their own brand of yarn, but they also carry other. I found some Daruma that I couldn't find at the Daruma store. I found there, and their brand is very, very nice. I must say they don't seem to carry a lot of skeins. I don't know if it's because I went there in spring, so maybe people were looking for more simpler project and fewer balls of yarns. But I asked for a sweater amount of yarn, so I found a color I really liked, and I would have liked to buy 8 skeins of yarns, and they just had 4. Which, I mean, nice, but I wasn't looking for a striped sweater. So I ended up not buying the yarn. And finally, I visited Yuzawaya. This is not specifically a fiber store, but it's a craft store, so you can find materials and ideas for other crafts too. You can find embroidery supply, felting supplies, fabrics, a lot of accessory and notion, almost everything from Clover, the popular Japanese brand, and some yarns. Mostly acrylic ones or yarns that do have acrylic in them, but some cotton or wool too. The prices were overall the lowest of all the shops, but since the quality was a little bit lower as well, I might say it was alright. This is actually a chain, so you can find multiple Yuzawaya around Tokyo. I visited their Ikebukuro branch. It was almost a whole floor of a building, and it has just so many ideas. I ended up buying threads for my sewing machine, some threads for embroidery, some felting wool supplies, and some other accessories and knickknacks, other from yarn. So I think if you are interested in other crafts, you should definitely pay them a visit. I saved all of these 4 spots as well as lots more in a Google map. You can find a link in the description, and you can actually go and visit the other stores I haven't yet and tell me what you think about them. I would be very glad if you had a chance to visit the store. I hope you find this video useful and you get to visit this and all the other stores I have suggested. As I am an Italian fiber artist, I mostly make videos in Italian here on my channel, but you can find English subtitles in all of them. So if you like somebody speaking Italian in your ears and reading a little bit of English, you can go and have a watch at them. So I must acknowledge the consumption that goes with buying new yarns, and I must try to tell you not to splurge, not to buy too many. We aren't going to Japan to buy yarns just because they are nice or they are a cute color or we have heard of the name of the brand. We want to buy yarns because we have some specific project in mind or because we really vibe with the yarn we are choosing. So please shop carefully and have fun. You can also find a video from my latest yarn crawl, which was in London, England, and you can see the store I visited there and what I bought from there too. In the end, from these 4 shops, I bought a single skein of yarn. It was very good of me, I know, thank you. I decided to buy a very, very specific shape of green, which is gorgeous. It has some variation in color. in it, and it's a yarn specifically for making socks, so I am trying to make my second ever pair of socks, and I'm making them 2 at a time. Shocking. I am loving this color, and this yarn is incredibly soft. I bought this at Walnut, and it was one of their specific yarn made by their brand Amirizu. I hope to see you in other videos, and I hope you have a lovely time and get to visit Tokyo and the stores pretty soon. Bye!